It's no secret that if you've been following this channel, I'm a huge fan of Silent Hill 2. I'm a huge fan of the original version as well as the remake. I thought both of those games are probably the best example of horror beyond any medium. So not just video games or movies, it's just one of the best examples of horror and psychological horror, and being able to maximize the medium itself of a video game to really engross the player in something that's just truly terrifying. And so when I saw that we were going to be getting a Silent Hill movie based off of Silent Hill 2, which to me is the best entry of all the Silent Hills, I was both excited and pretty hesitant. And we're currently on we're on the last couple days before the movie officially releases and hits theaters, but there's been a array of clips that have been slowly flooding places like Facebook and YouTube, showing glimpses of this reimagining of Silent Hill 2, and a lot of fans, including myself, have some opinions on it. And in this video, I'm going to go over kind of my thoughts on even making a film based off of Silent Hill 2, and if I think that this upcoming release is going to be any good. So let's take a look. So when Return to Silent Hill was announced, I was of two minds about it. Part of me was excited to see a director take the source material of Silent Hill 2 and try to reinterpret it and bring it to the big screen. The other part of me was a little hesitant, and for two, I guess, major reasons. The first reason being that, while I really did enjoy Christopher Gans' first Silent Hill film, and I thought it did a lot of really good things, it also wasn't without fault. There were some storyline issues that I didn't care for. There were also, to me, probably one of the biggest glaring issues was the addition of having Pyramid Head kind of just thrown in there for fan service, but ultimately wasn't a bad film. Again, I'm hoping that we're not going to see weird liberties taken with Return to Silent Hill, and that's one of the hesitations. The secondary hesitation is that I think there is such a sensitive handling of Silent Hill 2 for a lot of fans, myself included, and this was part of the reason why I was almost skeptical that the Silent Hill 2 remake was going to be any good, because I wasn't sure Bloober Team was going to take that source material and handle it tastefully in a remake, and I'm very happy to say that they did handle it really well. But that's not to say that Christopher Gans may take some of the storyline or change some of the storyline or reinterpret some of the storyline in a way that's not going to, please fans of the actual series. Those are kind of my two hesitations. But on the other side, I like the source material of Silent Hill 2, and I think there's some things that can be fleshed out in a movie format that will work very well, that I would be interested to see in a movie form. And I would be interested to see how he's able to convey some of the more disturbing elements of Silent Hill 2 in a movie format and in a horror film-based format that may, in some cases, actually be a bit more scary than the video game was able to do. So those are kind of the two minds I have, or had, of this game movie tie-in sort of deal being announced. Now, fast forwarding a bit further, though, we see some early shots as this movie was being announced of the character playing James Sunderland, and I'm not going to say that I'm very familiar with him as an actor. However, I will say I wasn't particularly, and again, this is me trying to be a purist, I guess, to Silent Hill 2, but I didn't feel like he looked like the James Sunderland that I've spent a lot of time with between the OG Silent Hill 2 and the remake. Which, by the way, even the remake, I will also highlight, part of me was a bit hesitant about the new design for James, but I came to actually appreciate it and think it worked for Silent Hill 2 remake. So maybe this is also a case of that. Maybe on screen we'll see that this actor portrays James Sunderland better than he appears based off of what I've seen so far from some of the screen captures. But then we get into Mary and Maria, and this is where things seem a little more, I almost want to say overdone. Maria is a character that for Silent Hill 2 Remake and the original Silent Hill 2, it was supposed to be almost like, James's fantasy projection of Mary, and I dug that, I guess, the way they approached it in both the original and the remake, as it felt tasteful to that type of character, if that makes sense. But looking at the actress who's playing Maria, it's not necessarily her that's the issue from what I can see. It just seems like they're overdoing the aesthetic of Maria, if that makes sense. And in a lot of ways, it almost looks like the way the makeup was done and everything else. She almost looks like a fan cosplaying Maria as opposed to really embodying that character. Now again, I'm basing this off of tiny little snippets that I've seen online, as well as screen captures that have been released by that studio for Return to Silent Hill. So I could be completely off base. But where I'm getting a little more hesitant generally is leading up to the release of this film, which will be in the next couple days as of posting this video. We're seeing some clips from the actual film, and we're seeing what I believe to be Eddie's character, talking to James before Pyramid Head bursts through, which is implying that Eddie can also see Pyramid Head and these sorts of things. But it's not necessarily that story element that we could probably have a whole video on that portion itself and what that means for this film, but I'm not going to go too deep into that. It's just the way the actual footage looks. And what I mean is, the guy playing Eddie and the acting there and the actual clip that we're seeing, it almost looks like a fan film. It doesn't look like a major studio taking Silent Hill 2 in a way that is tastefully pulling that source material and elevating it or doing something different with it that really feels impactful. It just looks like, to me, almost a fan style film, from the acting to the actual visuals to the way it's just framed. But again, I'm basing this off of very short snippets, and you're going to hear me keep saying this because, look, we haven't seen the movie yet. And part of my motivation for making this video is that I follow a ton of different little Silent Hill fan groups and YouTube pages and these sorts of things, and it seems like the consensus is that this movie's going to be dead on arrival. And while I am talking about a lot of the things that I don't like so far, there are some things that I do think look really good. And what I will say is the set design for this looks fantastic. And I thought Christopher Gans did a great job on Silent Hill 1. But from what I can see from these short clips, it looks like he's going to do an even better job on Return to Silent Hill. The other thing is the monster design. I'm not a huge fan of CGI. I think CGI works best when it's used to accent scenes. It's not like the main thing for scenes. And it looks like he's taken that approach again with the Return to Silent Hill. We see the nurses, and the costume design for them looks just fantastic. Pyramid Head looks very, very good. And overall, the actual monsters they look like Silent Hill 2 monsters, and they look tastefully done and tastefully interpreted based off of the Silent Hill 2 source material. So, currently where I stand, I'm going to go see this movie, and I am still half excited to see it. But ultimately, I think the big struggle or the big risk with this, is probably the best way to put it, is that Silent Hill 2 is a very, very adored survival horror game, and it's probably the most popular Silent Hill entry in terms of fan service and cosplaying and basically community around the Silent Hill series. Oftentimes, Silent Hill 2 seems to be a center point for a lot of these communities. And so there is the big risk of trying to take this material and try to make something new out of it in the form of a movie. And we saw that risk happened with the Silent Hill 2 remake from Bloober, and we saw that risk paid off. It actually worked out, and in my opinion, they made a phenomenal reimagining of Silent Hill 2 in a way that really advanced the lore for me in a lot of ways, but also elevated some of the existing storyline in a lot of very good ways. And my hope for Return to Silent Hill is that they will do the same. But I also understand that there's going to be the risk and there's going to be the contention of a director like Christopher Gans trying to appeal to the fans of the series, but also appeal to his own vision and interpretation of the series. And that's a difficult task. And so in a lot of ways, I give a director like this credit because I don't think that's going to be an easy feat. But with that being said, I also really, really hope that these are just isolated clips that I've seen, as well as images that I've seen that hopefully are going to, how do I say this? Hopefully are going to be better once I see the bigger picture, as opposed to just basing my opinion off of snippets and clips. And so, while my initial impression isn't ultra great for some aspects of this, I'm also remaining hopeful that we're going to see a direction or an interpretation of Silent Hill 2 in the form of a film that's going to take some creative risks and liberties that I'm hoping, like Bloober Team's remake, are going to pay off.